this video we're going to look at doing some shadow and highlight adjustments, red eye correction, reducing noise, and finally sharpening. First, let's open up the same picture so that we're working together. Let's go to File, Open, or Browse in Bridge, whichever you prefer. You should have a folder saved on your student account. Let me just go to mine so you can see. You should have one called Lesson 6, unless you renamed it, the same one we've been working with. In this folder, we're going to open up the 06B start file. Okay, the 06B start file. And the first thing you want to do with this is let's do a file save as, so that we don't affect the original image and you can have it to continue working. So save as, and you want to say, instead of start, call this 06B working. This is a good habit to get into so you know that this is not a final image, this is a file that you're just working on. You can save it in the same place if you want, since it's on your account. First, what we're going to do is add a shadows and highlights adjustment from the image menu. So we'll go to Image, Adjustments, and you'll notice that these are our destructive adjustments, okay? And you will see here the highlights and shadows down near the bottom. You'll see they're separated into categories by the lines. So with this, we can actually check this box to show more options, and you get to see a lot more than what they show you initially. So what we can do is start to play around with these just so you can see what is going on. So if you bring your shadows way down, you'll see the darker areas get even darker. Tonal width, adjust sort of the contrast between the two. Radius is how much of the area of the pixels are affected, and you've got highlights and you've got other things here. So what we want to do is first set the shadowy area amount to 80. So let's go to the shadows and put the shadows at 80. What we want to do is brighten up that background that was so dark before so that we can actually see it. Let's set the tonal width to 65. And let's take the color correction slider. Let's go back to the highlights area. Set the amount of the highlights to 5. And in the adjustments area, drag the color correction tool or color correction slider to +45. Of course, you can always type in the exact numbers here as well. You see this really brightens up the background and everything so that we can see all of what's happening either in the shadows or not. So press OK and save your work. You can do this by pressing Ctrl S or File Save. Now let's look at correcting the red eye. Let's zoom in a bit on the face of the young man in the bottom. As you see, he's got a red eye effect happening, which is something that we do not want. So to correct these, you'll use the red eye correction tool. It is with all of the healing tools underneath the spot healing brush. And it's very simple to use. So select this. And what we want to do is on the options bar, you can see you can set the pupil size and the amount to darken. In this case, let's set the pupil size to 50, around about 50, and the darken amount to 10%. Okay? What we can do then is click on one eye. All you have to do is click right in the center, and you'll see how it already changes. It's smart enough to detect the red area around it. And if you don't like the result, you can always go back, undo it, increase the darkener amount, or change the pupil size. So click on the other eye to make a match. And there we have it. We've corrected the red eye. I'm going to zoom back out by going to View, Fit on Screen, so that we can see the whole picture again. Next, we're going to look at reducing noise. Noise is a lot of distortion or graininess that happens in your picture. Especially when you brighten them up. Like you see, we've brightened up the background quite a bit, and what we're left with is this colorful grain that is called noise, and really it's something that usually is undesirable. It's something we don't want. So what we're going to do is first zoom in. If you can't see, zoom in a bit just so you can see all this grain that I'm talking about, and you see it's almost like multicolored. To get rid of this noise, we're going to use a filter. So go to the filters, go to the noise section and choose reduce noise. What you see here, we have our own preview box here. And you can zoom in further just so you can see the effect that it'll have on the same area of the sky. First, we want to increase the strength to 8. So you can either type it or slide the bar up. Let's decrease the preserved details to 45. Let's increase reduce color noise to 50. And let's change sharpen details to 35. So what we want to do is reduce noise while still preserving some of the sharpness. You don't need to check or change anything else. Once you have that, press OK, and you'll notice how, if we zoom back out, a lot of that noise has been taken out. The grain is still there, but the noise, that colorful noise, is gone. Now what happens often when you reduce noise is that you soften the picture and lose some of the sharpness. So what we're going to do is we're going to sharpen edges and do some sharpening to bring that back. So again, we'll go to the filters and we'll go to the sharpen section, and you'll see there are several different ones to use. The unsharp mask is a good one to use. It often has a lot of options for you. But in this case, we'll use the smart sharpen. As you see, this one has the ellipses after it, dot, dot, dot. And what that does, it indicates to you that you will have options that you can change. So click on that. And let's change some of these here. Let's reduce the amount of sharpening to 40%. Okay? Around about 40. Let's set the radius to 5 pixels. So that will be affecting a large section, or somewhere around 5. And for remove, let's choose lens blur to change the way that affects it. And make sure you have more accurate checked. And you'll see here already the effect that it was having on it in sharpening the picture. So press OK. Now what we've done, we've removed noise, we've increased the sharpening, and we've also removed the red eye. So what you want to do is do a file save again. Save this as portrait final PSD. So we're going to go file, save as, and instead of working, we're going to call this portrait final. And save that in the same place. And there you have it. That's this end of this part of the lesson.